Welcome! This video contains everything you need to know to start your FL Studio journey. It's divided into chapters so you can either watch the whole thing or the parts that interest you. But first, let's show you around. The first time you open FL Studio, you'll see this welcome window.
To the left, you can open demo projects to see how a full song is made. Or to the right, you can browse through different templates to use when creating a project. Let's use the default template by clicking down here. So here we are in an empty project. Let's go through the essentials.
This is the project tempo set in BPM. This stands for beats per minute and sets the speed of your song. The metronome here just to the right can help us hear the tempo. Click and drag up to increase the tempo, and drag it down to decrease. The grid here is called a playlist, and this is where you build songs. Right now it's an empty canvas, but once you start placing things down, it can look something like this. The song starts from the left, and it continues to the right for as long as you have things placed down. The black bar here at the top is called a timeline. We can click on it to move around the playhead. And of course you can press space to play, and space again to pause. To the left we have the browser. This is where you can locate sounds to drag into your song. You also have the project tab where you can find things connected to your current project. The plugins tab, this is one of several ways to add instruments to your song. And we have the sounds tab where we access FL Cloud. This is a big library of royalty-free samples and sounds.
If you can't see the browser, you can open it with the browser icon, this one. You can also resize the browser by dragging on the edge of it. This goes for most windows in FL Studio. Now above the playlist we have lots of different buttons and icons. But for now, let's focus on these four. This one opens the piano roll, which is where we draw melodies. This icon opens the channel rack. This is like a container for all the different parts of your song, like drums or a melody. The fourth icon here is going to open the mixer. This is where we can add effect plugins to our sounds, like delay, or reverb. The last icon brings us to the playlist, which is back where we started. You know, the place where we build songs. Up here in the left corner you can also find some nice essentials. For now, let's focus on the Files tab. This is where you save your project. And the Export tab here lets you export your project out to several different file formats. It can also be good to know about the Options tab. Clicking any of the top ones here will bring up an options box. Here, for example, you can go to Audio to set up your audio settings. MIDI can help you set up your MIDI controllers, like a MIDI keyboard if you got one. And a whole bunch of other stuff, like the theme setting, where you can customize the colors of your FL Studio. Maybe dark, purple, light mode. Hopefully, you now have an idea about how to navigate in FL Studio. Let's get into the fun stuff and actually make some music. We'll start in here. The channel rack. This is the heart of your FL Studio project. With just a few clicks, your beats can come alive. From the menu, let's access it with this icon. This is the channel rack, and in it we got a step sequencer. By filling in notes here, they get played. Let's listen by clicking here. And if you change your mind, right-click to delete. To add sounds into the channel rack, we drag them in from the browser. The browser is on our left side. I'll locate a sound in the stock folders. And then just drag it in onto the channel rack. And let's make a little beat. Let's listen. We can also replace our sounds with other samples by dragging them onto an existing one. I'll visit FL Cloud by clicking the cloud icon up here. It can also say sounds if you're in a wider view of the browser. And in here we'll search for a short kick. Nice. And now we just drag it in onto the existing channel. Like this. Release. I'll do the same to the clap. Right now it sounds like this. And I'll replace it with this 80s snare.
With a new hi-hat too, the beat sounds like this. Instead of drawing in our notes, we can also right-click the sound and we get some different options, like fill each 2 steps. And while we're at it, right-clicking also allows us to rename and recolor our sounds. Let's make the hi-hat here green. Right-click, rename, and make it green. This is useful for organizing or if you just like pretty colors. I'll do it to the other ones too. Now, to the left in the channel rack, we got 2 knobs. The right one is a volume knob, so if you feel like the hi-hat is too loud, we can turn it down a bit. The left one is a panning knob, and with that you can place your sounds more to the left or to the right. You can also right-click these knobs and hit reset. This brings them back to their original position. Now take a look at the green LEDs here. With these we can mute samples. Say we temporarily want to focus on listening without the hi-hats. You can also solo sounds by control clicking. And control click again to unsolo. So right now we're looping 1 bar. And if you want a longer loop, you can grab the edges of the window and drag the channel rack out. Now you got a 2-bar loop where you can place more notes. Let's fast forward a bit and let's listen. Once you have a beat, it's common to add a bass line. The stock template in FL Studio already has a bass sound loaded, this one called Flex. You'll find it in a channel rack. But you can also use the plus icon down here to load up a new instrument if you want. Now we want to create a bass line. To do so, right-click the bass and press piano roll. This opens up a new window. Just like in the step sequencer, you left-click to place a note, and you right-click to delete it. Now let's make a very simple bass line. Have a listen. And now when you got this, you can close down the piano roll and go back to the channel rack. Let's use the hotkey F6 this time. So this right here with our bass and drums is our first pattern. These patterns are like the building blocks of our songs, and in order to build with them, we'll need to go to the playlist. That is this icon up here, or you can get there by simply pressing the background. Now in here it's pretty simple. You left click to place, and you right click to delete. Let's place down 2 here. Now in order to listen to this, we need to be aware of the pattern and song selector up here. Right now it's in pattern mode. That means that if we press bass, we listen to the pattern. But if we change this to song, we listen to the playlist. Now let's create a second pattern. You do this by hitting the plus icon up here. And we're gonna name this intro. Open the channel rack again, and here we have a new empty pattern. And our intro for this song is just gonna be a little snare roll. Let's go back to the playlist. And in the pattern selector up here, we'll make sure that we have the correct one selected. We got intro and pattern 1. Let's choose intro. So now when we left click, we will place the intro pattern. Make sure we're in song mode. Let's have a listen. You got a first beat. Now we want to add a melody. For that we need a melodic instrument. I will use the plus icon here in the channel rack to add one. Let's use the stock plugin Flex. This opens up a new plugin window, and in here there are tons of sounds, also known as presets. I'll open the folder called the General MIDI Library. If you want to quickly try out sounds here, you can turn on the typing keyboard to piano keyboard function up here. This lets you play your sounds with your actual keyboard, as if it were a piano. Let's try the alto sax here. Let's go for this one called Dr. Solo. Sounds alright to me. Close down the plugin. So back in the channel rack, we can see our newly added Dr. Solo. Right click it and hit piano roll. This opens up a new window. And in here, we create melodies. You left click to place notes, and you right click to delete them. There are some other controls that you might find useful here, like control and scroll wheel to zoom, it scrolls into wherever your mouse is. You can also select notes by holding Ctrl and then dragging. And now Shift and the arrow keys moves them up and down, as well as left or right. You can deselect notes by control clicking anywhere else. So now let's write a melody. Now you don't need to know any particular music theory to start writing a melody. All you need to know for now is that a note placed higher up has a higher pitch than further down. Now I will play some notes here. Let's hear it with space. Nice. Let's add a couple more. Now we will adjust some note lengths. You do this by holding your mouse above the end of the note and then dragging. You can make it longer or shorter. Now let's have a listen. Very good. Let's close down the piano roll. So back in the channel rack, we can see that our melody is in the same pattern as our bass line and the drums. Sometimes it can be useful to have a pattern with only the melody. So let's place it in a new one. Right-click the melody instrument, Dr. Solo, press Cut, and up here we'll create a new pattern called Melody. That leaves us with a new empty pattern. Now I can right-click Dr. Solo again and press Paste. So here we got a pattern with only the melody. And when is this useful? Well, for a song. I don't want the melody to play the entire time, I want to place it at certain spots. So now I can place the melody pattern by having it selected up here, just after 2 bars of drum and bass. I'll place it down with a left click, make sure we're in song mode up here, and let's listen. And in comes the melody. Very good. Now there are some other useful piano roll controls that can be good to know about. One is velocity. You might have noticed these controls at the bottom. They allow you to control the volume of individual notes. Just left click here to make it quieter. So let's listen before. And then we can left click here to drag it down. If you can't see this menu, it might be folded down. Grab a hold of the edge here and drag it up. Another neat technique are slide notes. To add a slide note, you first need to have a normal note. Then you add a slide note. You activate it by clicking this triangle symbol. This turns the next notes that you place into slide notes. The triangle on it indicates that it's a slide note. Making it longer gives it a slower bend. And shorter, a faster one. So good to know here that the note within itself doesn't make sound. Instead, they work to slide normal notes. There are plenty of more tools in the piano roll to assist you with melody writing, like Ctrl L to connect your notes. A good place to look is in the drop-down menu and then Tools, where you can find more great stuff. But you should already have enough information by now to have a go at it and start making some melodies. Have fun and good luck! Throwing in a few loops is one of the easiest ways to get started. In this video we're gonna get a groove using FL Cloud, finding nice stuff swiftly. So first off, what is FL Cloud? It's a big library of royalty-free samples that you can access directly within FL Studio. And in here we find samples. There are 2 main categories of them that you should know about. One-shots and loops. One-shots are typically just one hit, like a clap. But it can be anything. A synth stab, a crash, or a vocal. A loop, on the other hand, usually consists of several bars, designed to repeat itself seamlessly. This can be drums, a guitar, or anything. Now let's make a quick beat using loops. You can access FL Cloud by hitting the Sounds tab in the browser. Let's search for a piano. A bit too sad. Nice. Just drag it in. And to this I'm gonna search for a top loop. This is usually just hi-hats and claps. Now we can hear it how it would fit with the song.
And if we like it, we can drag it in. Nice. Control B a few times to get it longer. Alright, now we're gonna try out the hot swap function. With this one we can easily swap our top loop here with another one to see how it would sound. So try this one. 1, 2, 3. Alright, I like this one too, but I think I'll go for the original one. Press back. Nice. Turn off the hot swap. And now we're gonna search for a kick. Drag it on. As you can hear, it's a bit too loud. We can adjust the volume of the clips directly on the bottom of them. Better. Now I want to add a melodic instrument. For that it can be good to know what key we're in. If we zoom in a bit on this piano here, we can actually see what key it is. D major. So if we want to search for a saxophone here, we can search directly within that key. So let's add it. D major. And let's search saxophone. I'll take a chance on the one called Amma sax here and drag it directly in. I think we can get a better one. I like this one. So a tech we can use now is just drag and drop on top of the old one and thereby replace it. Listen. A bit loud. Alright. There we go, our first loop beat. Now something that you might have thought of. All of these loops come in several different tempos, don't they? And it can be nice to have them in sync. With FL Cloud, the Sync BPM button here at the bottom automatically syncs them to the tempo of your project. If we turn it off, we can hear the original tempo of the loop. You can also manually time stretch your one-shots and loops. By default, dragging on the edge of a clip cuts it. But if we activate this setting, stretch audio when resizing audio clips, we can manually adjust the speed. That's great, but what if you don't want the pitch to change? If you double-click a sample, you can access different stretch modes. These are different ways of tempo changing a sample that you can experiment with. Press sample will make an upsped version pitched up, while stretch will keep it in the same pitch even though it's sped up. You can also use the fit to project tempo setting. If you click a sample, this option can help you automatically time stretch your sounds without doing it manually. So now you know the essentials. Using loops is a quick way to get some fundamentals going, and from there you can build on to create a full song. Good luck! Once you have some patterns and audio clips, it's time to start arranging. Here we have a pattern and a sample put directly on the playlist. And if we play this out now, we'll just be looping these two bars over and over. You want to fill this empty space to create an actual song. Let's start with the basics. Last clicked. FL Studio remembers the last item you clicked. So if you want to place another one of these samples here, we can click it once, and clicking it again over here will place more. Let's do it to the pattern as well. Quick tip here. You click and drag to move, and you can hold Alt to make precise adjustments. Above the playlist you can see a big set of tools. Right now we're using the pencil tool. But we can also try the brush tool here. If you click and drag now, you place several patterns, very quickly. Let's do a very quick rundown of the other tools as well. Playback tool, zoom tool, select tool, slice tool, delete tool, the slip tool, and the mute tool. There are many ways to arrange in the playlist, and you should find your favorite workflow. I like to shift click and drag to create a copy. Control B is also useful. It duplicates and places it to the right of the duplicated one. These commands work in the piano roll as well. Now, the picker panel. This is a menu to the left of the playlist that allows you to see all of your components. If you can't see it, you can enable it in this drop-down menu.
Under this icon we can see every pattern within the project, while this one allows you to see all the audio clips within it. And here it's quite easy to see what we currently got selected. It's highlighted in green.
This will be the one you place by left-clicking in the playlist. Looping. Bing.
Sometimes it can be useful to listen to the same section over and over rather than the entire song. You can mark a section by holding Control and dragging on the timeline. That will be the section you loop. Control-click again to remove the loop. Make unique. This is a very useful feature when arranging. Say you're working on a song with this drum pattern.
And in this third one you want to have the same drums, but with some variation.
If I were to make a change in this pattern, it would apply to all copies of that one within the project. This is where Make Unique comes in handy. Go to the upper left corner and hit Make Unique. It creates a copy where you can add changes to that specific one. So I'll rename this Variation. Now let's click it again and press Edit Pattern.
This will open the channel rack where I'll add some extra snares to this one.
And let's have a listen. The split by channel function. You might start a song by keeping everything in one pattern and getting a groove on. However, for arranging, you might want to have this in separate ones. So right-click it and press Split by Channel. This splits your pattern up into its different components, creating new ones for each one. So we can easily try out an arrangement, perhaps starting with just a piano and then building up. You can also merge them back by marking them and hitting Ctrl-G. Now what about organizing? FL Studio allows you to be very flexible with your project. No elements are locked to a certain row. To keep track of things, it can be helpful to do some organizing. You can rename the patterns, and the tracks here to the left as well.
Nice. And lastly,
the Arrangements tab.
If you want to try out a different arrangement without risking the one you already got, you can create a new empty one on the Arrangements tab.
You can clone the old one or create a new empty one.
How about starting the song with a melody instead?
Or go back again with the Arrangements tab. However, do note that these arrangements share the same information. So if you delete a pattern entirely, you will delete it from both of them. And with that you should be all set to get to it. Start arranging, building, and elongating your songs. Good luck and see you in the next one. In FL Studio, there are two categories of plugins: generators and effects. Generator plugins generate sound. And then we have effect plugins that affect those sounds. An added generator plugin can be found in the channel rack, while effect plugins belong to the mixer. Today we're gonna focus on generators. There's a whole lot of them. Simple ones like FL Keys, or a mini synth, or get more variation with Flex. That both has real-life instruments, as well as more electronic ones. Or synths to tweak, like Citrus. Or drum-dedicated plugins like FPC. There's also more advanced plugins like Harmor, that allows for extensive controls. Or plugins like SliceX, that is a tool for sampling and chopping. Original sample, and loaded in SliceX. Hopefully, that gives you some inspiration as to what there is to explore. Adding plugins can be done through several ways in FL Studio. I'll highlight some of them here, but in this video we'll go through the browser, navigate to plugins and then generators. Here we can see a bunch of different categories. Let's open Synth Classic and locate Flex. A quick way to add it to your project is to drag it and release it directly on one of these tracks. This automatically renames the track and creates a new pattern named after that plugin. And if you double-click it, you go straight into the piano roll, ready to draw a melody.
In most plugins, you have presets, which are different ready-made sounds. On some plugins, this is found through the drop-down menu, while others, like Flex, have a dedicated preset section, where we can find the jazz guitar from the intro, for example. In general, plugins also have tweakable parameters. In Flex, these are the knobs, sliders, buttons and wheels to the right. This can be fun to play around with. For example, many stock presets come with delay and reverb, like this one. Let's turn them off. We can also experiment with the cutoff, which can make the sound more muffled. Or we can add some more chorus. Nice and wobbly. If you open the plugin picker with this icon, you get a nice overview over all the plugins. And if you want to explore even more, you can look in the FL Cloud Plugins application. Go to Tools and then Plugins. This opens the FL Cloud Plugins app. In here you can install even more instruments and effects from third-party suppliers. So no matter what you're into, there's probably a plugin for you. FL Studio has quite a variety, and they're tweakable to your taste. Have fun! Effect plugins, that's where the real fun starts. It's about reshaping your sounds and getting creative. Effect plugins generally don't produce sound on their own, instead they make changes to other sounds. Let's listen to some common ones. Clean, reverb, delay, chorus, low pass filter. Effect plugins are added through the mixer, where we have different inserts. But before anything else, we need to connect our sounds to these inserts. In the channel rack, you might have laid eyes on these boxes. These connect our sounds to the mixer. So this synth here, if we take the box next to it and drag it up to 3, it will be connected to insert 3 in the mixer. So if we now go back there and play it out, we can visually see the volume when it plays on that insert. Now let's add an effect plugin. Let's click the mixer insert. We add effects to the effect slots. If you can't see them, check this setting. If we click them, we get to add our effects. Let's add Fruity Reverb 2. Now the sound has a reverb. And we can click it to open it and make some adjustments, tweaking the parameters, like increasing the decay to give it a longer tail, or increasing the wet signal, increasing the level of the reverbed sound. Let's go back to the channel rack with F6. Anything else you send to insert 3 will also get that reverb effect we just added. So before, after. Now there is another way to send things to the mixer that can be good to know about. I'll add a new bongo sound here. Now make sure it's selected and use Ctrl L. This automatically routes it to the next free spot in the mixer, which will now be insert 1 since we went straight to number 3 before when we added the reverb. It also renames it. I'll add a quick Fruity Delay 2 here to get some echoes on it. Nice! You can also let FL Studio do the mixer routing for you. In the last video, we added an instrument by dragging it directly onto a track. With this method, FL Studio automatically routes it to an insert in the mixer, and renames it after it. This also works if you load your instruments by using the plus icon here. This keeps things organized. To the left in the mixer, we got 2 special inserts. This one is the master. Every sound in your song will pass through here. This means that every mixer insert is connected to it. You can see it visualized by clicking an insert and seeing these send links. Sounds that aren't yet routed to the mixer also go through the master. So any effect that you add to the master channel, apply to your entire song. Effects on the master are commonly used to make some final adjustments, like a light equalizer or a compressor. Or go crazy and add some reverb. Or distortion. The current insert. This is an advanced feature and not necessary to start making songs, but it can be good to have an idea about what it's for. It mirrors whatever insert that you have selected in the mixer.
If you like to use visualizer plugins, like FL Studio's own Wave Candy, this can be quite useful. Let's bring up an example. I've got this song with a bass line, chords and some drums. I could add the visualizer plugin to each separate insert, but it's a bit of work. Instead, I can add Wave Candy to the current track and just click the insert that I want to visualize. Chords, and drums, bass. So now you hopefully got an idea. There's a total of 76 effects in FL Studio, so quite a lot to experiment with. Have fun with it and good luck! The Loop Starter. This is a great place to kick things off. Let's go through it. To use the Loop Starter, go to the channel rack and hit this icon. Choose your genre. Let's go for some techno. And the Loop Starter will load loops that work together and match the genre. You can re-roll individual sounds or replace everything with the die icon here at the top. You can switch genre at any time. Let's try some hip-hop. It's also possible to lock in on sounds. Take a look at this percussion. I'll mute the other ones by clicking them. I like this and want to keep it. So we can right-click its die and press locked. Now it will stay even if we use the global reroll die. Below the loops, the Loop Starter also generates fitting drum samples for the genre you choose. So these are some nice hip-hop drums. Let's mute the other drum loops, and we can create a new drum beat with the one-shots. If you're working with a genre where you don't really know where to place the steps, let's generate some drill here. You can right-click the samples and hit Generate Steps, and it will generate a fitting pattern for that genre and that sound. Through the global die, you can also choose to generate steps for all channels. The Loop Starter also allows for exploration. If you find a sound that matches the style you want, but that isn't quite right, maybe this top loop here for example, listen. You can right-click it and press Find Similar Samples, and FL Studio will locate samples that are alike. Drag it into place, and listen. We can also play around with our sounds in the Loop Starter. Let's open the menu for the chords here. And here we can pitch it down a bit. The Loop Starter is a quick way to get inspired. Maybe you now want to add a melody. Load a plugin through the plus icon. I'll go for the Capture XO here. Right-click and open the piano roll and try a melody with your loops. Now where do we go with this? Once you have something you like in the Loop Starter, you can use this icon to send it to the playlist. Here you can start arranging the song. Note that you can only have one Loop Starter active at a time, so if you want to save something but keep experimenting with the Loop Starter, it's a good idea to send it to the playlist. So now you know the essentials. Let's go through some more of the functions you might be wondering about. Change project tempo. Depending on the genre you choose, FL Studio will change the BPM to a fitting one for it. If you turn it off, it won't. The number here determines the pattern length. Right now it's set to 64 steps, which is 4 bars. If we set it to half, 32, it will only be 2 bars. This button toggles the step sequencer / piano roll view, so we can see our drum steps like this or like this. The icon here toggles loop mode. By default, the loop mode is set to 1 bar. This is useful since we can place our drums here at only the first bar, and they will loop throughout the entire Loop Starter length. You can place more beats to change this loop. To be 2 bars, for example. However, if you want to add a longer melody or a bass line, you might want to turn off looping for it completely to create something longer. Then you can right-click the loop mode button and click Loop All Channels. With this, you can now turn off looping for certain sounds. Here it is turned on and turned off. Now, when you close a project where you use the loop starter, you will be asked about a whole bunch of samples. These are ones you listened to but ended up not using, so you can choose to delete them from the project if you want. And 2 common questions. Where do the sounds come from? The loop starter pulls its sounds from FL Cloud. Who can access it? It's included in every edition of FL Studio. And that's it! Have fun with it! Automations. They let you change things automatically over time, like fade-ins or turning something on and off. Let's start with an example. Look at the synth. Let's fade it in using automations. We'll make a selection where we want the automation clip to be placed. Now we'll find the synth in the channel rack and right-click what we want to automate, which in this case is the volume knob. Hit Create Automation Clip. It will appear in the playlist. At the start and end of a clip, we can see control points. Let's drag down the start one. Sweet. There is a lot more to this, so let's go through it with a filter automation. You know, this effect. Earlier, we learned how to add effects to a sound. So let's add an effect to this synth here. I'll add the effect called Fruity Filter. In here, we can drag down the knob called High Pass and only have a so-called Low Pass filter left. Don't fret now if these terms seem confusing. You'll be able to do automations either way. But basically, a Low Pass filter cuts off the high frequencies. Or on my voice, it sounds like this. By adjusting the cutoff, you decide how much of the high frequencies it should remove. Now we'll create an automation clip. Right-click the cutoff knob, create automation clip, and in the playlist we'll find it and change the control points for it. Nice! Between 2 control points we find the tension handle. With this we can adjust the shape of the curve. More good things to know about automations. You right-click to add more control points, you can move them sideways. Hold shift and right-click to place a point while keeping the level unchanged. Right-clicking an existing one gives you the option to try different curves. You also right-click a control point to delete it, and you right-click the tension handle to reset it. And dragging on the edge of an automation clip makes it longer. Using automations is a very versatile technique. Right-click a wheel, or really anything, and you'll be surprised about how many of them that can be automated within FL Studio. Like the parameters in a plugin, or the project tempo. Directly in the menu of audio clips, you have an option to quickly add panning and volume automations. With the panning one, we can create that effect of going from the left ear to the right ear. We can also duplicate automation clips to place them at different places in the song. Note that these are inherently the same automation clip, so adjusting one of them will change both. If you don't want that, you press the automations menu and hit Make Unique. Now they're not linked anymore. If you have 2 different automations but want them to follow the same curve, you can easily copy it over through the menu. Go to Articulator Tools, Copy State, and on the second one, Articulator Tools and Paste State. Automations can really bring tracks to life. They add variation to your songs, they really create interest, and they're lots of fun. Good luck! Let's pitch automate this vocal sample. Here we have the pitch wheel. This number dictates how far we can pitch the sample. Right now it's set to 2, so bringing it up will pitch it up 2 semitones. Let's increase that range a bit. Drag it up.
And now we can right-click the wheel and create an automation clip. Between two control points, you find the tension handle. With this, you can adjust the shape of the curve. As you can see, right now when we pitch it, it affects the length. If we change the stretch mode from resample to stretch, it will remain the same. If the pitch wheel isn't doing anything for you, your sample might have a predetermined time setting. Right-click time here and set it to none, and it should work. Great, have fun with it! Recording is one of the most fun parts of music making. Whether you want to capture a vocal or record a guitar. Let's get to it. This video will explain recording in detail, but if you just want to get straight to it, it can be narrowed down into 3 steps. Right-click the plus icon here and click here to choose an input. Now hit record and press play.
Jag testar mikrofonen och det låter bra.
And there you have your first recording. But there are some more things that can be good to know about. Let's get into some technical stuff. For Windows, an ACO audio device driver must be selected. Press F10 to open the options, go to Audio and select an ACO driver. If you have a native ACO driver for your audio interface, use that, not the FL Studio ACO. They can be named something like this. For Mac, depending on your OS, you may need to give FL Studio microphone permissions. You can allow it in the privacy and security settings. You can also ask Go for how. Now go to Options and Audio and select an audio interface through which you want to record. What you get to choose from here will look different depending on your setup. I'll use the microphone of normal iPhone headphones for this vid. Now we need to set up for the recording. Right-click on the plus icon here in the playlist. This will create an audio track from which we can record. These 3 icons here are all you need to learn. The first one selects your input, your microphone. My current setup only has one option here, but there's a chance you see several depending on your audio interface. Select the one that corresponds with your microphone. Once selected, you might get this pop-up. It's asking if you want to set up the recording so that it can only record external audio from outside of FL Studio. Let's hit yes. You can now see the input being monitored here.
So this is the earpod mic. Woohoo!
With the next icon, you choose what to record. Through the pop-up earlier, we already set this to external input only, and this is what you want for most cases. You will learn a bit more about the other ones later in this video. At the bottom, you also get monitoring settings. This is giving you the ability to hear yourself. You can choose to always hear yourself or turn it off. When armed means that you will only be hearing yourself when the track is armed for recording, which brings us to the last icon. When this one is red, the track is ready to record. You can click it to disarm it. And now it's time to click the main record button. If it's the first time you're recording, you'll be asked by FL Studio what you're intending to record in this pop-up menu. For example, notes allow you to record a MIDI keyboard, and audio into the playlist will record our microphone. However, it's easy and works well to simply choose the option Record Everything here. You can at any time access these recording filters by right-clicking the record button to see or change what FL Studio is trying to record. But generally, there's no harm in keeping them all on. Now as the last step, make sure we're in song mode and hit space.
And here we can see that it's working fine, and as soon as we press pause again, the recording will stop.
When recording audio from an instrument, you need to have an audio interface connected. There's a whole lot of them. Here I'm using a PreSonus audio box with a synth connected to the second input. After that, it's pretty much the same process. I'll select input 2 here. Now we can hear it. And then record. Nice. These icons are useful when recording. Countdown. This gives you a countdown of 1 bar before a recording starts. Loop recording. If you select a portion of your song and let this loop, this option allows you to make several recordings without having to stop in between. They will be muted by default.
You can unmute them with the mute tool. Another useful setting is the metronome, which I keep activated here. It keeps track of the pulse of the song. And by the way, you can change the sound of it by right-clicking. All recordings in FL Studio are wired through the mixer. Let's showcase that. Earlier, we right-clicked the plus icon here to create our recording track. By doing so, FL Studio automatically selects a mixer insert. Here you can see that the mic is connected to insert 1 in the mixer. We can also manually select an insert. Right-click the track, go to track mode, audio track, and here you get to choose an insert for yourself. Let's go for insert 3. And now we're connected to insert 3 instead. Here in the mixer, we can find the same settings as in the playlist. Earlier, we chose external input only. Let's showcase why that's important. We'll route this drum loop to insert 3 as well. Right now, this won't blend with the recording, because we're only recording external audio. However, if we change this to external and mixer input, everything put through insert 3 will be part of the recording. See here. This is useful for some cases, but most of the time you want external input only. Pause here to read about the rest of them. Another thing you should be mindful of. This track here is now assigned to insert 3 in the mixer. So if we drag other sounds onto that track, they will automatically be routed to insert 3 as well. You can right-click a track and choose track mode as unassigned to avoid this once you're done with the recording. And that's it. Enjoy recording.
Let's record MIDI. It's about recording notes like melodies, chords, or drum patterns. Now we're gonna record MIDI, which is different from audio recordings. As shown in the last video, some keyboards can be used for recording audio as well, so head there if that's what you want to do. For this video, I'm using an FL Key 37, which is optimized for use with FL Studio. But any MIDI keyboard will work. Even if you don't have a MIDI keyboard, this video can still be useful for you. With this icon, it turns your computer keyboard to a piano that you can use for recording MIDI as well. Now, before opening FL Studio, start by connecting your MIDI device and install all the drivers for it. Now open FL Studio and head to Options and MIDI. Here you can see the list of devices. We got a MIDI Input tab and a MIDI Output tab. For now, let's focus on the MIDI Input tab. The FL Key 37 automatically integrates with FL Studio here, but if yours doesn't, here's how to set it up. Select your keyboard and make sure it's enabled. Also choose a controller type. FL Studio has built-in controllers, so try to find one that matches the name of your MIDI device in the list. If you can't find one, you can choose Generic Controller and it will work just fine. Now let's enter the channel rack and make sure we have a sound selected here. Now try playing. Nice! The highlighted sound in green here is the one FL Studio will play from. You can click or use the arrow keys to change it. You can also lock sounds, so they'll be played regardless of what you've got selected. Right-click it, receive notes from, and then pick your keyboard. For the MIDI channel setting here, there are many to choose from, but for a simple setup, you can pick all channels. You can also have several instruments locked at once. Here's all 3. Now it's time to record. You can record both in pattern mode and in song mode. Let's start in pattern mode. Right-click the record button. This brings up the recording filters, and we want to make sure that we've got notes selected here. You can keep the other ones active as well. Now click the record button. You could record now directly, but I'll enter the piano roll to visualize it. Now hit play. And in the pattern we got our newly added recordings. Now let's record MIDI in song mode. I'll unlock the other sounds here, so we got this one left. Now in here in the playlist, I'm in song mode and I've prepared by placing an empty pattern. It's also the one I've got selected. This will be the one we record into. Hit play.
There we have it. If you record longer than the length of the pattern, don't worry, the pattern will expand upon stop. Recording MIDI also leads us to quantization. Quantization is about correcting the timing of your notes. As you're human, it can be hard to play exactly on beat. Unquantized, quantized. To get into this, let's first have a look at FL Studio's snap settings. You change them with the magnet icons. First, click the magnet icon in the piano roll. Set this to main. When it's set to main, the piano roll snap settings will follow the global ones set up here. If it's set to beat, our grid is divided into 4 beats per bar. If we set it to half a beat, we get 8. While a 4th beat gives us 16th notes. If we record MIDI with one of these selected, FL Studio can automatically snap the note to the closest grid line. And it gets quantized. Note that the global magnet icon is what sets this, not the one in the piano roll. And if it's set to line, cell, or none, no automatic quantization will occur. Pause here if you want to learn more about these snap modes. You can also turn off the automatic quantization completely through right-clicking the record button. Make sure that these are unchecked. Because you can always quantize later on with the quantization tool. Listen to this recording, for example. Let's tighten this up a bit. Go to Tools in the piano roll and open the quantization tool. And here it can be fun to experiment a bit, but for 100% time correction, set sensitivity to max and bring up the start time. It's a bit tighter. Pause here if you want to read more about the quantization tool. There's a whole lot to MIDI recordings. It's a quick way to get ideas going. And it's fun. Enjoy exploring it.
When you're done with a song, you're gonna want to export it, to send it to your friends or upload it somewhere. First, we need to select what to export. If you've got pattern mode selected up here, you will export the currently selected pattern, and only that. Let's set it to song. This will export the whole thing from start to finish. That is, unless you've made a song selection on the timeline. If you've made a selection here, you will export that portion only. Let's hit Ctrl D to remove it, because we want the full song. Now it's export time. You find it by going through File and then Export, or by using Ctrl R. Now you'll be asked where to save your file, and what to name it. And in the next step we'll reach the export menu. Here there are some things to think about. Let's take a look at the tail settings. This is where you tell FL Studio what to do with the end of your song. Cut remainder cuts off the audio immediately after the last note. Leave remainder. This keeps things like reverb tails in the export. And wrap remainder. This is a specific setting for exporting loops. It moves the tail to the beginning of the file, making it seamless. For most cases, leave remainder is fine. Here you choose the file format. WAV and MP3 are the most common. WAV has a larger file size, but the highest quality, while MP3 is a smaller file, but can still sound very good. You can also export to several different file formats at once. Pause here to read about the rest of them. For MP3 files, you can check the bitrate here. Everything about 224 will normally sound very good. Going below that will give you a smaller file, but it might not sound that great. For WAV files, you can change the bit depth. 16-bit is great for music, and you really can't go wrong with that. If you plan to use your audio again in future productions, pick 32-bit float. 24-bit is mainly for compatibility with older software that does not support 32-bit float. Here we have the resampling settings. This affects the quality and applies to all file formats. Normally, it's pretty hard to distinguish between these higher quality options. You can keep it at the absolute highest, but it slows down the render time. We recommend that you put it on at least 64 for your final render. Below the resampling options, we have more quality settings. These are recommended settings for most cases. You can pause if you want to read more about these. Down here we have the miscellaneous tab. Let me just minimize the other tabs here. These four to the left don't affect sound.
They only affect the metadata of your track, such as preserving the tempo so that the next time you drag it into FL Studio, it will remember it. To the right we have settings that do affect the sound. Split mixer tracks. Most of the time you want to keep this off. It exports every mixer insert separately. For example, if we activate this setting on this song that only has bass and a kick, the export will give us those two inserts separately. This is useful if you want to collaborate with someone who doesn't use FL Studio, because they'll have all the different parts of your track as separate audio files. Trim PDC silence. This only applies to WAV files. FL Studio adds a tiny amount of silence at the start of a WAV file to keep it all synced. If you trim the PDC silence, you remove that silence from the final export. So most of the times you want to keep this on. Enable inserts and master effects. If you've got effects added to an insert or on the master channel, you probably want to keep this enabled. But they're useful if you want to export an unmixed or unmastered version of your track. Together with the export, you can also upload it directly to SoundCloud. Now press start, and FL Studio will render out your file. When it's done, it plays this lovely sound. And that's it. Good luck. FL Studio has loads of customization options. You can make it look just how you like. Do you want it like this or this? Like this or like this? Today we'll go through how to make these adjustments. If you just want to try some different looks, the easiest way is to try the presets. Go to options and then themes and click around. But there are more customization things that can be good to know about. Let's start in the playlist. Go to the drop down and then view. You can experiment a lot here, but we'll go through some useful ones. Like the grid color. I'll make it gray here. We can also configure the grid contrast. This is medium, and low, and high. Or even invert the grid if you want. There's also a view setting for what to see behind audio clips. Nothing, plain, cell, glass, aqua, solid. Solid but more contrast. In the piano roll, let's go to drop down and view again. We can edit the grid color and grid contrast just like before. The rounded function makes your notes just slightly rounded. You can also edit the palette. Maybe you already know that you can change a note's color by clicking up here. The colors you get to choose from are not set in stone. If you go to View, Note Colors and Edit Palette, you get to change this. You can also mark a couple of notes and hit Alt-C to recolor them all at once. The colors you set here will stick if you create your own theme. Let's set that up. Go back to Themes here. We can adjust the colors, as well as setting colors for specific elements in FL Studio. Here are some before and afters. Selection, highlight, mute, option, steps, meters, text. The wave setting is a bit special. You can set different colors depending on the frequency range of a sound. You can make bass dark blue here. And let's make high frequencies white. As this sine wave gets bassier, it gets bluer. Cool, huh? For this to be visible, you need to have activated colorful waveforms in the general settings. Set it to color map. And now when we got our color set up, hit Save Preset and name it. If you go to the Themes folder within the FL Studio files, you can locate this file and send it to your friends. Here is the pathway. If you've downloaded a custom theme, that's also where to place it to install it. You can also download some themes directly within FL Studio. In the browser, go to Presets and then Themes. There are a few more settings that affect how FL Studio looks within the General tab. There's 4 different options for animations. This controls how much visual animation is shown in the user interface. Here are some examples. It doesn't really increase CPU load, it's more a matter of personal preference. Smoothing affects how motion looks within FL Studio. Minimum, maximum. You can also toggle high visibility. This is useful if you have color or vision deficiencies, as it makes some switches and icons more clear. And you can turn thick lines on or off. You can also experiment with different icon layouts here in the toolbar. Right-click a gray area and you can try a preset, or press edit and choose for yourself what icons you want to be visible. Generally, most workspaces in FL Studio can be customized in some way. I like to keep my browser search bar at the top of the browser. There's a setting here. I also like the extra large view in the mixer. Choose one that works for you. In the mixer, we can also toggle this icon to enter the waveform view. So generally, going into the view options of a window is a good idea if you want to customize something to fit your user experience. And you can always ask Gopher if you wonder about something specific. By now you hopefully know enough to get your FL Studio journey started. Enjoy the ride and visit the forums or the manual if you need more guidance. Best of luck!